Hi everyone, in this video I want to continue to show you some other game played by me using Owen defense. This was an over-the-board game. My rating in this game was 15-13 and my opponent 16-15. I want to mention that this was my first game played using b6 opening. Let's see the game. My opponent started with e4 and I played b6. As you now know from my last game, the purpose of this opening is to first develop the bishop on the a8 h1 diagonal. Next is playing e6 followed by bishop b4, pinning the knight that might come to c3. After this, we attack the center with d5 or c5. Okay, my opponent played f4. Interesting option chosen by my opponent. Usually d4 is played here, but this is a valid move. I continued playing bishop b7, attacking the e4 pawn, and my opponent defends the pawn with knight c3. This is the move that I expected. Now I can play e6 followed by bishop b4. My opponent played d3. It's a modest approach. It closes up the bishop, the light square bishop, from f1. I'm continuing my plan with bishop b4, pinning his knight. My opponent plays bishop d2, and I continue my development with knight f6, putting pressure on the center. My opponent continues with knight f3, and here I decided to play d5, attacking the center. I'm taking some risk. If white pushes e5, then I have to retreat my knight to d7, and I have a French position. But my opponent decided to take on d5. I recapture with my knight, and now some exchanges will occur after he takes with his knight on d5. I took on d2, he recaptured with his queen, and now I recaptured the knight with my queen on d5. Okay, my opponent played queen c3. He is attacking my g7 pawn, and I castle. With this move I continue my development, and I'm also protecting g7. My opponent continued with bishop e2, and I played knight c6. Maybe I should have played knight d7 followed with knight f6. For the moment my light square bishop is locked, but this is only temporarily. So also with this move we can notice that my king is saved. I've connected my rooks, and black has finished the opening. White only has to do the castling, and he's also finishing the opening stage. My opponent played rook g1. Interesting move. This indicates that he wants to attack me on. He wants to attack on the king side, and he will not castle king side. So I assuming that my opponent will play long castle next, or on the other on some of his moves. Here I I played queen d6, attacking his f4 pawn, and white defends his pawn with queen d2. Here I played a5, discouraging white to castle, but my opponent decided to play a3, and during the game I thought that this is not okay because it creates some weaknesses, and this pawn was not attacked at that moment. I think that white should have continued with his development, making the castle long. I played knight d4. I put my knight in the center, and my opponent decided to take my knight. I recapture with my queen, and my queen is on a good center position. My opponent finally castle long, and my plan now is to attack on the queen side and storm all my pawns to his king. Okay, so I've continued with b5. My opponent attacked my queen with c3, and I retreated my queen to d6. White continued with rook fd1. He puts his rooks behind his pawn, and he also wants to storm his pawns towards my king. But the question is, who will be first? Let's see what will happen next. So here I played c5. So we are trying to attack one each other. My opponent continues with g4. I play b4, and my opponent plays h4. I took on a3. My opponent took on a3. So the b file is opened. Okay. Next, I placed my rook on the d file, and maybe I should have put in the rook on the b file first, just to control this file. Now my opponent played rook d1, and here I played bishop c6 with the intention to play bishop a4, attacking his rook from d1. Here my opponent played c4, and it's not a good move. The drawback of this move is that it's opening the h8 a1 diagonal. Okay, next I played bishop as a4. My opponent retreated the rook to f1. I played queen d4, looking at the a2 square, but this is a slight mistake from my side, because I should have occupied the b file with my rook, controlling the b2 square, because now my opponent attacked my queen with queen b2, so I had to retreat with my queen, and my opponent played f5. So this is a blunder, because now I can take the b file and come again with my queen on d4. So I played rook a b8. My opponent played rook d2, and finally queen d4. And now I'm threatening queen a1 checkmate. So my opponent realized what's going on here, and he made a spectacular move. Yeah, he played queen h6. So when I saw this move, I started to laugh at the table. So yeah, it was a strange move. But of course, I gave mate with queen b2. So this is my first game where I used own defense. There were some mistakes on both sides, but in the end I managed to defeat my opponent. I hope that you learned something from this game, and please watch other games from my channel, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.